resume. The next agenda item, if you can take your seats please, is Auckland Transport Quarter 4 Performance Report. And we have Alistair Cameron, and also in attendance is Dean Kimpton. So we're just waiting on everyone to take their seats. Alistair? Mayor Brown, would you like to resume your seat? I don't want to have to shout at you and don't want to have you in tears.
Here to resume. I don't know where the others are.
All right, I think we have a quorum and we are ready to resume. Alistair.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and apologies from Claire Gomez, who would normally be here, but she's having a well-earned holiday. I won't go into too much detail on the fourth quarter report because Auckland Transport will be doing a year-end wrap-up presentation.
Alistair, we're...
Sorry, my apologies. There I am. I won't get into too much of the detail of the fourth quarter report because Auckland Transport will be doing a year wrap-up presentation after this. I'd just like to make a few points, but largely the results reported in the fourth quarter follow the trends that have been reported to this committee previously in the third quarter report. On the financial side of things, operating expenses, an operating surplus excluding depreciation of $27 million was reported, which is $17 million favourable to budget. On the revenue side of things, it was $19 million lower than budget, with again the continuing trend of lower PT patronage contributing to that, as well as lower enforcement revenue due to high compliance with particularly parking revenue. I would note my wife is bucking the trend in that regard and has accumulated 3 tickets over the reporting period, which is not directly relevant to AT's report, but is of an issue of significance to me. Expenditure is $42 million less than budget. That was achieved, Auckland Transport did achieve the $60 million in savings that was agreed through the LTP process. There's been good cost control across the organisation and lower than budgeted PT indexation costs. On the capital side, there was a record level of investment of just over $1.25 billion over the year, which was 93% of the budget. There was lower than budgeted spend on cycleways, property acquisitions for growth and infrastructure, IT. But there was higher spend on the flood response program, network optimisation, bus projects and asset renewals, which were delivered ahead of schedule. 19 of the 23 Statement of Intent performance measures were met. Of the 4 that weren't, 2 relate to public transport. The boardings, 88.8 million against a target of 94.7 million. And the public transport utilisation was also less than target. The customer perceptions, the target around Auckland Transport listening and responding, it was 32% against a target of 33%, and I think is trending in the right direction. And I would like to note the safety, the deaths and serious injuries, the provisional result of 611 against a target of no more than 576. I would note that that result includes state highways, which are NZTA's responsibility, and we should consider whether that is appropriate in future performance reporting or whether we split that out. There are a number of other highlights for the year at paragraph 25 of the report. I won't go through those because I'm sure Auckland Transport will cover them off in their presentation. But I would like to pull out one which we haven't noted in our cover report, is that despite the greater use of bus replacements, services due to rail closures and ferry cancellations, the bus fleet used approximately 1 million litres less diesel than in the previous year, I think that just goes to show that the rollout of a lower emission bus fleet is having an impact. Perhaps I'll leave it there, and we do have Richard and Dean here to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Questions, members? Mayor Wayne Brown.
Okay, guys. You've got, saying that you've got 39 of 40 deliverables, but do you really believe that you've provided clear communication to councils on projects in the area and will continue to remove road cones and minimise disruption caused by TTM? Is that really true, or just marking your own homework? Or is it worth having those if we're just going to have that stuff, in my view?
I'm sorry.
I think I understand. Well, I understand the question, the comment. Look, my response, Mayor Brown, is that the metrics that we report on, statement of intent, and the actions that sit underneath that are those that we agree with council. They're all approved by this governing body and our board. So we report on the metrics that you ask us to commit to and fund us to deliver on. And I'm quite proud of the fact that we are hitting those metrics in a way over the last few years that we haven't in the past. And they do matter because they lift overall performance across the network. I do recognise, however, that there are always, in a system as complex and as varied as the transport system, there are things that don't go right, and I wish that wasn't the case as well. I look at the impact of temporary traffic management, which is one of your comments just then, acknowledge the impact that that has. We have been constrained through a quite defined code of practice, which we're now going to risk-based. The Minister in his letter to us recently acknowledged that we are at the front of the pack and leading how we are changing that practice across New Zealand, so I'm really pleased with that written feedback from the Minister. Our costs at 63 million, I'm not happy with those either. Those are high, but they are now sitting at about 5% of our capital program. In previous years, that was nearly twice that cost. I was even less happy.
I'll accept that.
So we're working hard to
just
bring all of these down and get them trending in the right direction. And we've got a deep commitment, as you know. We wrote to all developers, utility companies, and our own maintenance and capital arm to say we do not want work in arterials in town centres when it comes to temporary traffic or construction works to occur in peak hours, so that we can prioritise movement in the corridor, whether it's bus or private vehicles. So there's a lot of things we're working on. The direction is good. We haven't achieved the destination yet.
Yeah, I was just thinking that on track might have been better, or progress is made rather than actually met. That's all I'm saying on that. Because you are making progress, but I don't think we've quite met that one. And then, but leave that one. And then, how are we getting on with installing the screens on the bus drivers?
We're on track for that, and look, we'll unpack a little bit more in our FY update, but and Stacey can probably give you a little bit more of a detailed response, but we've got a rollout program. We're on track with the rollout program. New buses come in with them installed. We're retrofitting on old buses, but we've got to do that at a rate which doesn't compromise our service delivery. So when they come out for maintenance and other work, that's when we do the install. On track.
The transport boardings have dropped a bit. That's probably the rail shutdown, I accept that. But buses seem to be lagging, and we got. I'm not quite sure if the Mix Your Go sends the right message as a person who catches a bus. Mix Your Go, I keep thinking maybe it's Mix Your Gin should be, but how much do we spend on that, and how do you measure that as being useful?
So we have seen an impact, and we still, I don't want to call it post-COVID impact anymore, but there is a work from home impact. Right now, 33% more customers travelling less.
Yes, we should advertise on the buses, go to work more often.
Yeah. So look, the point is that there is a lag, and we've also got a soft economy, and that's turning up in how many people actually travel into the city centre and other places. In terms of the advertising program, we need to market public transport. We want people to know what the options are and how they might make choices. Interestingly enough, last night, that Mix Your Go campaign received the public sector award for best campaign by our peers. And that is measured by uptake in social media and how people are responding and saying actually they are making choices to mix their way of moving or go, and actually making the choice to do it. So we've got some really healthy statistics around that. So when we do promote, raise awareness and give people confidence about the choices available to them and how they might then catch the bus, train or ferry, we do see an uptick in patronage. And we'll need to keep doing that if we're going to achieve our targets. This year we're targeting 94 million. And I also acknowledge, irrespective of those marketing campaigns or those education campaigns, we have had a lot of disruption on our network, and that mixes up people's attitude to it.
It mixes the go, and that's the
Does.
trouble. And I mean, I speak to large audiences, and I want to have more people catching buses and public transport. And the message I give is that public transport's getting cheaper every year. We've now got a $50 cap, and driving your car's getting more expensive, and it will next year with pay time of use charging. So that a good one would be public transport is getting cheaper, your car's getting more expensive. That might get them to shift. Who knows?
Yep.
Lastly, there's nothing in here that we don't know that's going to pop up. What's your?
Is that a question? Is there anything that I should have?
Oh no, just as I always like to ask people, what's their risk analysis? You know.
For the year coming.
Yeah.
Simply put, the way I look at this year that we're currently in with the program we've got, which is ambitious through the statement of intent, and then the transport reform program, balancing those two, and as I say to staff, delivering superbly on statement of intent and transforming or reforming superbly is going to be a very big ask. Okay, so if we can get both of those done, and the way that I would like to achieve, then we'll have done not just very well, we'll have done extremely well.
Okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor?
Thanks, Chair. Look, this is an interesting one. Why is the percentage of road assets in acceptable conditions so low? So it's 69% against the target of 95%. Footpaths seem to be the worst offender. So what's the plan to get these up to an acceptable level?
Yeah, we were talking about that, and Murray Burt is going to come up. Can I just check in, Chair? There are a range of questions. We've also got a summary of the year from our perspective. I'm happy to keep going with all the detailed questions, or would you like us to actually give the year summary? Because I think some
Well, I
of these will
think
also...
complete the questions because we've got a few here, and then you can do so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Because what I'd like to do is invite Stacey up as well in case there's further public transport questions. Thank you.
You're going to wait, ask us about you could answer what we're doing about putting our footpaths up to a better standard. And I've got a public transport question I'm happy to leave till later.
The GPS smashed our footpath.
Okay, sure. So we've done a lot of work to advocate for additional funding to go into renewals and maintenance, and we're going to see an increase year on year in the condition of the network. The point that you've raised around the 69%, I'll have to just point out that there is a mistake with that number, which has been corrected in our annual reporting, and the number is closer to 76%.
which is still not great. But just to point out that there is a error that we've found in that particular number.
Anything further?
Yeah, I think that if Aucklanders say, why is my footpath in such a bad state of repair and what is Auckland Transport doing about it, what would be the simple answer back?
The simple answer is that we've done a lot of advocacy at central government level, and we're now seeing an increasing budget towards renewals and maintenance of footpaths, roads, and all the road corridor assets.
I think, Chair, what I'm trying to say is a lot of Aucklanders think that the footpaths come under Auckland Transport, and the answer is actually we need to go to central government for more money. I think that there is a little bit of public, misunderstanding around, well, why doesn't Auckland Transport just do it? Why do you have to go to central government? Would that be a fair?
Yeah, look, I mean, simply put, the government through the National Land Transport Fund allocates funding. It did lift funding for road corridor, curb to curb. It reduced funding on footpaths. So it's focused its investment, but we are your delivery arm and we rely on funding from council and government to be able to deliver and maintain footpaths. Yep. We continue to advocate for more funding because we recognise the importance of getting that right from a safety and a movement perspective.
Thank you. Member Renata.
Kia ora. I just wanted to make a comment and then give a question. And it's more about an acknowledgement that with Auckland Transport achieving Māori outcomes in this quarter report, so well done. I know that Auckland Transport is doing initiatives to create Māori into the economic partnerships process through your training programs and whatnot. Has Auckland Transport, because you have a relationship with mana whenua, how might you want to reimagine procurement and partnership models to unlock Māori supply participation in higher areas such as public transport, technology, that sort of area, and build that same capability and to progress forward? How would you imagine it could be done?
So we've had quite a bit of discussion with Haukura, haven't we, around how we further build a partnership with Māori. What we find is that actually from a participation perspective in the capital programs, we're very strong. Where we've got a challenge is in the operating programs, and by that I mean Māori or iwi participation in public transport service delivery. Could be bus contracts, ferry contracts, etc., etc. Because by definition it requires ownership or a certain amount of ownership for that percentage contribution to be recognised. So our approach and what we're envisaging is working with iwi and Haukura is a key partner in all of that, to look at how we can build the capability, identify those iwi with the balance sheets and the desire to be involved in more than just capital programs, but also in those operating programs. And if we can get there, then we will be able to shift that participation rate from 3% overall to something higher. But we can't, we're not presuming, for example, to go from 3% to a high percentage until we build that sort of institutional strength in iwi. And that's where our focus is, and that's what we've identified in our SOI program over the next 1, 2, 3 years. That's where our focus is, building that capability and that core strength.
And just the follow-up question, Mr. Chair. So the follow-up program would be working directly with mana whenua to do that, or facilitate process through Haukura?
Well, it could be both and. We have a number of discussions directly with iwi where there is investment opportunities arising. we would always welcome that, and we'll always say look out for it. And we would welcome the opportunity to continue the discussion with Hokura, and I've personally had that with you, David Taipari, and Lisa as well. So we will continue on all fronts looking for those opportunities.
Kia ora.
Thank you. Councillor Ferry.
Kia ora. Hey, just wanting a little bit of clarity from you, Chair, before I ask this, because I had split my questions into two because of the two agenda items. The other two questions I have relate to the FY25 presentation, so should I come back and ask those two after that?
That would be my advice, if you would do
Great.
so. Do you have any questions that you want to pose now, though?
Yes, I have one now, which is, so last time we met back in July, because this committee didn't meet in August, I asked about the definition of serious injury for DSI, and there seemed to be some inconsistency across NZTA, police, AT, and so wanting to get some clarity on the definition of serious injury. And there was an undertaking to come back on that. Apologies if I have missed that, because I'm still not up to full capacity. But is there a clear definition now that's being used for serious injury? Please.
Thank you for the question. I do remember the discussion. We have a definition internally. I understood Teresa Burnett was going to come back to you. Can I follow up on that? Because I think rather than me giving a verbal response to it, which will be the same as what I did last time, I think it's better to get it to you in writing, and I will follow up on that. Sorry if you haven't got it.
Yeah, no, thank you. I am still limited in capacity, so I may have missed it. I just wanted to close the loop at the meeting in case there was a public answer available, but that's okay. Thank you. I'll hold my other questions for the next item. Thank you.
I'll come back to you. Councillor Hills.
Thanks, Madam Chair. The performance on the DSI, the 611, obviously a bit, higher than the already higher target. What do you put that down to? Is there any evidence there were issues down to the reduction, the removal of the safe speeds? And I guess, does the team feel like they've got enough budget to target those areas that would keep coming up as really unsafe?
We do have a couple of slides on transport safety more generally, including roads and rail in the next presentation. But do we understand what is happening through the system that's resulted in 611 death and serious injuries? Yes, we do. It is a slight increase. Well, it's an increase on what we absolutely targeted of 576. We know where those are occurring. Look, 50% of them are experienced by people outside of a motor vehicle. And most of them, I recall, up to 90%, 85 to 90% occur on local roads. So only a small amount is occurring on the state highway. What we're advocating for to address this, as a result of change funding focus, is to work very closely with the police on policing. We would like to see speed cameras introduced. We've written and are advocating for that across the local road network, particularly at intersections. We are working closely with the police and others on drug and alcohol enforcement and on education. That's where the government's money is going. This council decided to maintain its investment on local road safety, which we really appreciate. That has slowed down somewhat. You can only do what you're funded to do. But we're doing everything we can within the available budget we've got. Look, the only other thing, and this is not a mitigation, is we do notice, and you'll see in the pack, the FY25 update, that this DSI number does bounce around because not everything's a predictable curve, and the 611 is sort of within that natural variation over the last 5 years. it does follow a general trend downwards, but it's not going down as fast as we want.
Okay, thank you. I might save the other questions for the next preso because it's more going forward, so I don't want to confuse. Thanks, Chair.
Councillor Lee.
Thank you. Just going back in regard to Auckland Transport's proposed expenditure on ferry building, 145 million, I understand, 3 diesels, 2 electric and 2 hybrids. This is a new departure in Auckland. I think it began in 2022. Previously, ferry companies, the private ferry companies, going back to the start of Auckland in the 19th century, were responsible for buying their own ferries, which they then operated. So we have a situation now where the ratepayer, and presumably taxpayer, is paying for these, but they're still operated by private operators, or probably a private operator. In terms of that, what is the process for ensuring that the public's investment, if you call it that, in these new vessels doesn't go to a monopoly, that there is other companies apart from Fuller's included or have the opportunity to run these ferries? Thank you.
Chair, I'll answer the question briefly. I know we do have a ferry topic later in the agenda. So in terms of what ultimately what we're doing is trying to de-risk from a monopoly situation by acquiring our own fleet. That therefore aligns with our future strategies, so that at 2034 that the network can be competitively procured, and we've got fleet to be able to support that. So a hindrance in the past to changing operators has been that we do not own the assets. That has proved very difficult for new entrants to the market to be able to be competitive.
I'm just looking for an answer. Are all ferry companies, is there an offering to enable any ferry company to apply to operate these ferries that AT, in fact, we are building? Is there or not?
Currently,
is there or not there? That's the simple question.
No, they will be with a certain operator until 2034.
Members, I think that concludes the questions that we've got under the Q4 performance. And unless there are specific questions around the Q4 performance, I'm going to suggest that you step back. I'm going to move that we receive the Q4 report. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Turner, thank you. Is there discussion on it? If not, I'll put it. All those in favour say aye. To the contrary say no. That is carried. Now I would like to invite Auckland Transport to return for the